The WGU Cybersecurity versus Cloud degree. Which one will get you hired faster? This is a question that I actually got on my last WGU video. Somebody was saying they couldn't decide between the cybersecurity and cloud degree, and somebody else actually replied and said same. And I feel like this is kind of something that is pretty interesting and a lot of people kind of consider. So I figured, as a graduate from the cloud bachelor's from WGU, I figured my insight would be pretty helpful to some people. So I decided to make this video. So which one's going to get you hired faster? What we're going to do is go through this overview real quick so you can see what we're going to be talking about here in this video. We're going to be talking about why I picked this cloud degree, or why I picked the cloud degree. We're going to compare the degrees side by side. We're going to look at the job market reality today in 2025. And some job roles and salaries, since people like to talk about that stuff, and my recommendations as far as which one to choose between the two, and a little bonus that I have for you guys as well. So why I picked the cloud degree. So first of all, what got me into IT in the first place? We'll start there. I worked a factory job where I was working overtime, 55 to 60 hours. I absolutely hated my job. I hated waking up. I dreaded Sundays. I hated waking up every single day for like 2 or 3 years. Now, I probably could have went somewhere else, but that type of work that I was doing was miserable to me. I didn't like it. So I wanted to make 6 figures. I wanted the ability to work remote one day, and I literally had no clue what else to do. So after doing some research, doing some Googling, I saw that you could eventually make 6 figures in IT, and that seemed like the only realistic path for me as far as like what I would probably want to do. So I saw that some people were saying that you could get like an AWS certification and that would get you hired. And nowadays everybody knows, or a lot of people should know, that it's not true at all. But back in 2019, 2020, that was probably more so 2019, pre-COVID, that was a thing. People were actually getting jobs with just a certification. So obviously software engineering is the most popular one that everybody talks about as far as making 6 figures in IT or whatever. But I realized I didn't want to do that. I tried to do a little bit of coding, and I was like, I don't know if this is the only thing that I want to do. So I just wanted a better career path than the one I was currently on. And the fact that you could get career ready at home appealed to me, obviously. And I liked computers. So that is what made me get into IT in the first place. Not necessarily why I decided to go with WGU. WGU wasn't even in the picture at this point in time. So I realized the journey was going to be tougher than expected. I didn't have any experience. And although I had like some certificates and stuff and like some labs, I wasn't being taken seriously in applications, or during the applications, right? People just weren't replying back, and I was trying to skip the entry level and go straight into cloud because I was trying to make like pretty much what I was making or better, salary wise. So it got to the point where it was just getting really difficult, and I didn't really know what to do. So I found WGU, and I just wanted to guarantee that I got a job in cloud, and I figured it would show employers that like I was working hard to like improve, like obviously like I'm in school, like I'm trying to better myself. So I figured that if I had a cloud degree and some entry-level experience, I would be set as far as getting a cloud job. And I didn't want to be turned down because I didn't have a bachelor's. Sometimes you'll see the 4-year degree requirements in job postings. And I didn't want the bachelor's to be something that would hold me back, or getting in that 1 versus 1 situation where you and some other candidate are ideal, but the only thing that separates you is maybe a bachelor's degree or something. So I wanted to be that person that stood out on paper, and long-term wise, I figured a bachelor's is always a good career plan anyway, because you always have it, and it would set me up for a master's if I ever do decide to go to that path, which I still have not decided. if I want to right now. So, but either way, it's there now. Now I have the ability to go get a master's if I want. So this is pretty much the reason why I started WGU, is because things got difficult and I just really wanted to guarantee success. In a nutshell, that's pretty much it. So if we go back here, let's go over the degree comparison now. The cybersecurity versus cloud degree. So overall here, just a little general overview. I listed out the general education, the core classes that are pretty much specific to like the cyber degree, the core classes that are specific to, in this case, the multi-cloud track for the cloud degree. Now, there's 3 different types of tracks for the cloud degree. You have the AWS track, the Azure track, and the multi-cloud track, which is pretty much both. It's a mix. And so all that means is you'll have a specialization in one or the other, like AWS or Azure, and I think you still end up taking maybe like the fundamental, like Azure fundamentals, or the cloud practitioner, regardless of which track you choose. I believe that's correct. Somebody can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I didn't research that, so sorry. But so yeah, I outlined the general education on both. At the end of the day, it's general education, guys. I mean, you might have 1 or 2 extra classes or something, but for the most part, like I, for example, didn't have to do any of these because I knocked them out with my associate's degree that I transferred in, and it was an associate's that was unrelated. But I also transferred in some classes from like study.com or like Sophia Learning and stuff. But as far as what's in the middle here, this curriculum similarities here, this is pretty much the IT degree, honestly. This is like what's in the IT degree. Because the way I kind of summarize both of these degrees is it's just an IT degree with a specialization in cloud or a specialization in cyber, the core classes being the ones that separate them here, right? And a lot of these are, so these are classes that you have to take that are on both sides, so you have to take them regardless. And here are these certificates that I outlined that pretty much, like, if you take both of these, you'll get, well, really this is core 1, core 2, CompTIA A+ here. So both of these point here. And then you have like your Linux Essentials, which is this Linux Foundations class. So really the certification is the class, right? So the whole point of the class is literally just to take the certificate, and then you prove that you like send them proof that you actually have the certificate, and you get credit for the class essentially. So there is no actual class that you take here in these cases. It's literally just the certificate. I mean, they are obviously there are classes and they prepare you for the certificate, but the certificate is the passing the certificate is the passing credit. So with that being said, you'll get these regardless of if you're taking the IT degree, the cloud, or the cyber degree. And another thing I forgot to mention is you have your 38 classes here. This is like a general figure. I think it all depends on which track you choose. I believe the cybersecurity might just be 34 classes, but either way, I don't know if there's any differences. It might just be straight up 34 or something like that. But these are the degree-specific certifications that you get with the cyber. So you get the CompTIA Pentest Plus and the CISA Plus, or I don't know how people say that. But the SSCP, System Security Certified Practitioner, is a ISC squared certification. Again, I don't know too much about this. I mean, I'm sure it's something that's like sought after and is probably really good to have. I know this one in particular. I mean, I guess these two, but more so the CISA Plus, CYSA Plus. We'll just go with that. I see that a lot in job postings for cybersecurity related jobs, so that's a good one to have. As far as cloud is concerned, though, since I actually did this program, I can tell you a little bit more about it. But so a lot of these classes, this isn't saying that you have additional classes to take here. They're drawn from, like, for example, the Azure Fundamentals go straight to Azure Fundamentals here. And then I think the same thing for Cloud Foundations. All these right here, there can also be found in this list. So with that being said, yeah, I mean, it's pretty much an IT degree with cloud certs and then a few classes in between that are kind of like systems administration type, or like data, you know, data systems administration, stuff like that, like SQL. And so that's pretty much what you're getting there. The only advice I would say is if you, I would go with the multi-cloud track. It's probably gonna be the fastest one, because with the AWS or Azure, you'll go a little bit deeper into the like specialization. So although you get the solutions architect and the cloud practitioner with AWS, you also get the developer and the sysops, if I'm not mistaken. And from what I remember, sysops is like the hardest of the associate exams, and a lot of people fail that. And that's not to scare you or anything. I'm just saying, like, you're probably gonna be in school longer, regardless of if you do the Azure or the AWS version. Like, it's probably gonna be a little bit more difficult, meaning you're gonna probably be in the program enrolled longer than had you have gone with the multi-cloud. But it's very dependent on you and your goals, and really the jobs in your area. Like, if it was only Azure jobs in your area and you're not open to moving, then I would probably go with the Azure track. If you're trying to get the degree as soon as possible, at the end of the day, jobs aren't going to hire you strictly based off of certifications, although they are a big help. So keep that in mind. Like, you can always finish, you can always graduate, and then go back and do a more advanced certificate, or one that wasn't offered in the program. Like, it's up to you, like, completely. So I would say for the majority of people, 90% of people, multi-cloud track is probably going to be your best option. Okay, so with that being said, I think I've covered everything for the degree comparison. Obviously, I didn't go too like in depth here, guys. I mean, I don't think there's you guys are seeing the classes here. If you really want, you could probably, just follow up. Ask me any questions in the comments, and I'll try to clear them up or answer them as I get them. So on to the next thing. We'll talk about the job market reality nowadays. Okay, so the way I kind of sum this up is, with cloud, you're getting more ways in, and then with cyber, you're getting a narrow gate but a higher bar. Okay. Why do I say this? Well, we'll start with cloud first. So cloud is broad. It really is. It touches nearly every aspect of IT. So you have networking, storage, scripting, security, automation. I'm probably missing a few here, but that's just to kind of give an example here. So this makes you more marketable for a variety of roles. Like, you're not tied to anything. You can always, like, it's a really easy to pivot around and do something else. Like, you could theoretically, graduate with a degree, but if you love like data, you could do like data in the cloud. Now you're a better candidate for anything data related in the cloud if you have a lot of experience or projects doing things with data. So just to paint a better picture here, this is the CompTIA Tech Jobs report for, I don't remember which month I downloaded this from, probably the latest one. So whenever you're watching this, whenever this came out. But really what I want to highlight here is these are the top remote tech job postings, and we're not really too worried about this. It's more so I just wanted you to see these job titles here. Aside from maybe the project manager, I don't really know what project managers do. I know what project managers do. I don't have actual project management experience, so I don't want to talk on this role. But besides this, you can pretty much look at all these roles and say you're probably touching cloud to some extent, or cloud is in the job description to some extent. So even the cybersecurity engineer, you're probably doing something with the cloud. And so all of these roles are cloud adjacent, if not cloud specific. There's probably cloud specific roles for each one of these. For a network engineer, you could be like a cloud network engineer. But this is what I'm getting at, is like you have so many different ways to kind of get in with cloud. Whereas if you were in cybersecurity, you're not really looking at web development, right? Cybersecurity, you're probably going to be looking more so here. And that's not to say that it doesn't have anything else to do with these, because you could graduate with a cyber degree and still get any one of these jobs, really, honestly. But why would you do that when you can do something easier? So you're probably, if you're graduating with a cybersecurity degree, you probably want to be in cybersecurity. Like, what was the point of doing that anyway, right? So with that being said, that's kind of the cloud side. The cyber side of things, I honestly struggled to find entry-level jobs. It was kind of scary. A lot of them require security clearances from what I saw. That doesn't mean all of them do. It just so happens that when I was searching, I just felt like I saw security clearance a lot more often than had I been looking for like cloud jobs or any cloud adjacent role type jobs. So the other thing is 2 to 3 years experience. And although this doesn't have to be a hard rule, the 2 to 3 years, the experience requirements are usually just there to scare you away, just to make sure like they're not getting like BS applications, right? But you usually take this with a grain of salt and you look at the job description to kind of get an idea of what they actually want. And the job description actually lined up with the experience requirements. So even though it said 2 to 3 years experience, I looked at the job descriptions for a lot of these postings and they kind of line up with 2 to 3 years of experience. Like it is what it is. And the other thing is, cyber is heavily marketed. Like it really is heavily marketed. I mean, I'm sure you saw like ads all over the place for cybersecurity as, you know, a high-paying field, which is true. But this has made it extremely competitive. There's a lot of people now trying to get into cyber, so you have even more competition in that pool of applicants. And unfortunately, they rarely tell you how long it actually takes to get there, to the 6 figures, to the 150K mark or whatever. Like, you're not just gonna get that job like out of school. I mean, if you do, awesome. Like, I'm not saying you can't, right? But more than likely, especially in today's market, like, you're not gonna get there. And even those mid-level roles are just difficult to get to. But it takes time to get that much money, because they're usually paying that much money for a reason. It's because of your experience, or you just have a lot of time in the game, and they're actually asking for you to do quite a bit. So the other thing is, like, roles aren't everywhere for cybersecurity, so your geographic flexibility will matter. Again, very dependent on like what you want, what you're applying to. I would just say, like, you don't necessarily need to be geographically flexible, like to be able to move around and stuff. But if you want to get a job as soon as possible, then I would say this does matter, right? So I still believe that with either degree, you shouldn't have to start at ground zero, aka help desk, desktop support. I think you're still set up to get a job regardless. It's just, if you're in cybersecurity, you're probably going to be sticking to cybersecurity roles, whereas with cloud, you're kind of free to roam a little bit. So you can already see where I'm kind of going here. But with that being said, I'll actually go over job roles and salary last. I just want to go ahead and go to my recommendations. So, considering what we've already talked about, I believe cloud will get you hired faster, just based off of what I've already said. Long term, cyber has a better salary cap, because honestly, from when I was looking at all these jobs, I really did see quite a bit of job postings for high paying salaries. Like, I really did see quite a bit of them, whereas the cloud ones, I didn't see quite as much. So but there's a reason, right? And it all depends on the job role and the company that's paying. So my recommendation is to figure out what interests you more. You need to research both the fields and find a niche that you can see yourself in. Because honestly, that's how you should pick. You shouldn't just pick based off of money, because even if that was the case, you might get a job role that you end up hating anyway, even though it pays good. And then you'll be in the same predicament I was when I hated my factory job. So do the degree that will most likely take you to your dream role. So if you like both cloud and cyber but can't decide, pick cloud, because honestly, if you pick cloud, you can pivot into cyber. You can start doing cloud, doing a lot of jobs, roles in cloud, get experience, and then later you can specialize in cyber, and then you can do cloud cyber stuff if you wanted to. You're not tied to your degree, but you can always diversify and specialize. I've been saying that this whole time, so you should already know. But my biggest piece of advice here is just don't expect 6 figures right after graduation. The roles that pay extremely well do so for a reason. This is a journey. Don't forget that. And so just set your expectations accordingly and you'll be fine. Don't try to rush yourself. Don't try to be hard on yourself just because you're not making six figures right after graduation or something like that. Or you just shouldn't be expecting that because you're going to get hurt. Your emotions are going to get, your feelings are going to get hurt. So real quick, let's look at job roles and salary here. When it comes down to here, you'll see that I actually didn't even put salary here, but the main point of this, honestly, is just to provide you with some job titles that you can research. Yes, you can make more or less than this. It really just depends on the job, where it's located, what they're willing to pay, on the employer. It depends on the employer and what you're actually doing in the job description, and honestly, what you're actually doing at the job matters a lot more than just what this says, like the job title. But I just wanted to provide a few job titles that I saw that would be good, or would fit you for the entry level, like leaving school pretty much. Once you graduate, like aside from maybe this, I just kind of threw that in there just so you could see. But that's really the whole point of this, is just to provide you guys with job titles that you can like look forward to or research on your own. With the cloud support engineer, I've heard so many people recommend this, and I just feel like this role doesn't exist. Now, I'm not saying that like this job doesn't exist. I'm just saying, like, I swear I never see anything like this. They might have like a different name or something like that, but honestly, I think I've only seen, even from the beginning of like when I wanted to get into cloud, I think I only saw like 3 roles for this, and they were all like remote, and maybe they just get taken up quickly and I just never see them, but I swear this role like does not exist. But besides that, that's really the whole point of this, is just to show you some job titles, really anything in the junior in the name, and just like that's kind of going to be what's easy to get once you graduate, I would say. That's the best way I can summarize this section, is it just depends. So the bonus that I have for you guys is I'm going to give you a real world break-in strategy and some degree alternatives to consider. So the IT degree is honestly the fastest and easiest option, because conceptually there's not a lot to learn. It's going to be the easiest degree of all. It's a pretty broad degree where you can specialize later. You're not going to be tied to taking certifications, additional certifications in that degree, so you're not going to be spending as much time taking or studying for those certifications, because they usually require a lot more time to study than it does like a normal class. So it also shares a lot of the same certs as other degrees, which I just showed you is in that certificate similarities column. That was pretty much the IT degree. And then obviously you're meeting the bachelor's requirement with the IT degree. So that's a quick one and probably an easy one. The other alternative is networks, engineering, and security degree. I believe this is actually the best option as far as getting a job. And I'll tell you why. Because you can actually get the CCNA in this track, or you can go with the general track and just get the Network Plus, Security Plus. But I highly recommend you make sure you like networking before starting. That's going to be very important, because although networking is not as popular, there's a huge demand for networking skills. So just make sure you like it before you start, otherwise you'll really hate it. But again, here's a CompTIA Tech Jobs report thing, and here's what I wanted to highlight, is that the top tech jobs that are looking for pretty much not requiring a 4-year degree are network support specialists. Tech support makes sense, but network and system administrators, here you can see, you also have these roles as well, but an overwhelming, a whopping 90% of these job postings did not require a 4-year degree. So they're usually looking for like a CCNA or something. Sometimes not even that. But I think this is like guaranteed you will make 6 figures one day, and you are guaranteed to make some good money and get a job. I really don't see this being an issue nowadays. I think it's kind of slept on, honestly. So those are my alternatives for you that you should consider. And then here we have the real-world break-in strategy that I have for you guys. So number one, get a job while you're in school. Get a help desk or desktop support job. This will build experience while you're still in school. Figure out what you like. Pick a niche. I talked about that earlier. It's very important just so you know. Really what I was getting at here is that while you're in a help desk or desktop support role, you'll be exposed to a lot of different technologies and job responsibilities depending on your company. And you can figure out what you actually like, and you can pick a niche from there. So you don't necessarily have to be in school once you have your first job. You might even have your first job now. But this is how you'll know what you might like, what you have interest in, and what you don't like, and what you don't want to do. Right? You might figure out you don't like networking, so don't do networking. Research job trends in your area just to see like what people are looking for, what companies are looking for, and what they are hiring for, and what's sought after. That way you can just focus on that and not waste time. Build high quality, relevant labs. This goes without saying. Honestly, you need to have some labs on your resume that can be used to show off your skills, and so you can be a good candidate. And after that, after 6 months of you working a help desk or desktop support job, you need to apply. Start applying to jobs. Like, you really don't need to be in help desk or desktop support or any kind of similar role for longer than a year, honestly. 6 months to a year, and you bounce, and that's it. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's all I've got for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave your comments below if you have any questions. And if you need any help getting started in IT, I highly recommend you click the link down below where you'll have access to my community, and you'll actually have an opportunity to get a CompTIA voucher. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.